came up when the sun went down, looking for reasons in my head again.
So this probably won't go to YouTube because I'm playing a song. It's the way that they do business. If you're playing a song, immediately you hear these copyright issues, and so it won't go to YouTube, but I don't care. It's May 3rd, National Widows Day. It doesn't really mean much to me, but every day is National Widows Day for me. I can't get over losing Rachel. I can't stop thinking about her. I can't stop thinking about what she went through. I met somebody that I like just about the year mark, around the year mark that Ray passed away, like a month ago. And I have like a block. I can't it's so hard for me to be present at times, and I really like this girl, man. She's everything. All the weird shit that I love, like she's all of that, and she's like so much more. But I'm just broken. I'm broken. I miss it so much. I miss Rachel. She was so many cliche things I could say describing Rachel, Like, I'm just looking at my cat right now, and Rachel loved this cat so much. Like, there was nothing typical about Rachel. She was not a typical person, a girl. And I can write things about her that sound more accurate than I could ever speak on Ray. She was just so complex and there's so much more to her than people even realize. She was in public, she was strong and bold, and it seemed like nothing got to her, and decisive and powerful and matter of fact. But behind closed doors, Rachel was extremely vulnerable, self-conscious, and really, really, most of all, she wanted to be loved. Rachel's just wanted to be loved. She wanted someone to love her more than they love themselves. And she was tortured. She was just like all of us, wanted to be loved just like all of us. She hurt just like all of us. And she was so beautifully fragile. But not a lot of people got to see that side of her because she was so guarded. And so when she went in public or she worked, she worked kind of as like being on stage. She was in a bar, and she took it very seriously, and she always put on this. She used to wear a lot of makeup before going into work, like only before going into work. And it was almost like a mask she put on to face the world and become who she needed to be to get through a day of being on display. But she did not trust easily. She didn't trust anybody. Almost, it was she earning her trust is the thing I'm most proud of in my life. And when I got to see that side of her, and when I did earn her trust, man, it was something. It's just like opening the gates to all of the magic that is Rachel. And like, I miss how funny she was in her words, in her deep voice, in her just swagger, and the way about her. But the thing I miss the most is the very delicate, fragile, glass-like inside of Rachel. I miss sometimes I miss it's just tough because we spent that time where she was sick, and I got to be there for her on such a bigger level. And just all of the faces she made, like, it's just so intense to think about, I wasn't perfect either, Chemo's hard for people. It's hard. It does brutal things to your hormone levels. And I mean, give yourself the worst news. Think about getting the worst news and being told you're going to die and having brutal pain from a tumor, knowing that it's going to grow and all of that. And then they say, okay, now try to deal with that. It's some people can deal with it, and it's, you'd think you'd be strong, but then let us just eradicate all of the good cells in your body, in your hormones. Let's just throw them all mixed up in a bag so that you have very little control over your mood swings and everything. So it was a rough time. And the fact that she was so vulnerable is what makes her life and the way she lived so incredible, so remarkable. Because I think a lot of people that that knew Rachel, like knew her in passing or was friends with her, or guests that would come in and see her all the time, they didn't know that side of Rachel, the wounded side, and that's the side that I fell in love with so much, because she was so human. And when I met her, I thought she wasn't human. I was like, this girl's just another species. No way she's capable of feeling like this awful crush that I'm feeling towards her. And I got into a car accident like the first week and a half that we started dating. And I smashed my head through the windshield. So yeah, I think I got a concussion or something, and I needed to be watched. But and we had just started dating, like hadn't even really slept over a lot at each other's houses or anything, and I still thought she was this armored knight type person who I couldn't tell if she was able to feel things. And of course I had loved her for a year, so like my love was already there. So it was just, well, anyways, she came to the hospital and she stayed with me the whole night. It was the first time she had come, and like it was the first time we were together, and it wasn't like after work and having drinks and in a casual way. And she stayed the whole night, and she had a lot of schoolwork to do. I remember she stayed up all night doing schoolwork and checking on me and everything. And so when I realized, like, oh wow, she cares. She can care. Man, the first 3 years with her, I did earn her trust. It was later. I think the closer you get to her and you become someone that she needs, that's when she really needs, you really need to earn that trust. And we went through a breakup that didn't do me didn't help. But, that was during that breakup. I had to restructure myself to earn her back. But in the first 3 years was just like magic between me and Ray. We lived above the pub, McCarthy's Pub in Belchertown, and that's where she worked. And I went and got a different job because I didn't want to work and live in the same building with her. The relationship to me was everything. Like everything I did was wrapped around us remaining together, and like never thought that we would. I had long relationships before, but only like 3 years, and then after 3 years it would fall apart. And but with Ray it was different. Like we loved being in each other's company. Like there's a lot of relationships where one person's on one wavelength and the other person's on a different wavelength. Like sometimes there's a listener and someone who's like always expressing themselves, and the other is always listening or helping. One person needing the other more than they need. You know what I mean? One person is usually in a young relationship. Sometimes that's how it is. But with me and Rachel, it was very equal. She didn't need me, and she'd say otherwise, but you know what I mean. She wasn't a mess, and I had just gotten my life together, so I was in the best place. So it was really just like two people who couldn't get enough of each other. And I have this image of her because we used to talk about living above McCarthy's in those years and how it was, and they're the magic years that are fun and just you're happy and floating because it's a new relationship. But that's not to say, I call them magic years, but the real magic and the real gift comes from getting past those initial years and going through something tough and staying together. I think that's when the real stuff happens. And we did that. So, but in those first few years, we were both in college and both working full time, so we didn't see each other that much. But I remember we would have the same day off, like one day off a week we'd have together. And I just have an image of her on our couch, laying down on her back with her arms, with her like green shirt on, McCarthy shirt or whatever she's wearing, and with her arms out. She used to do this thing where she would just put her arms out and she wanted to hug me, like a lot. Like if I was going to the store, she would reach out to hug me and I'd have to go over and hug her, and she would pull me over the couch to like keep me. And I miss that. We just really loved being in each other's company, like always. Even when we broke up, I think when we broke up, like I could go into detail, like depth about why we got back together, but I think like on the surface, I remember how it started. I called her and I said, hey, do you go out to eat? Are you like seeing anybody? Do you go out to eat much? She said, no. I said, you know what I miss? And she said, yeah, what? And I said, I miss going out to eat with you. Will you come out with me? Can we go get a steak or something? And she said, yeah, because we always were, we're very good at going out to eat. We had a lot of fun. And that's where it started. But we ended up getting Chinese. We didn't get a steak. And I have a picture of her from that day, because I remember thinking I had spent a summer on the Cape, and I really bothered by not having her and missing her. And I took a picture of her sitting at the table because I thought, if I don't get to be back with her, then I need to remember this moment. And so, but yeah, I think there's another moment that I remember. When we broke up, it was on Christmas night, and for 2 Christmases in a row,